Hey guys, I am trying something new. Um, I feel like because it's Mother's Day, this is where it should all start. I'm Kijana, and I have two beautiful young ladies. However, my journey through motherhood has been interesting to say the least. If you're just tuning in, like and subscribe down below. So, my journey to motherhood. A lot of people on this day think about their amazing birth story, right? Their water broke, or, they were having, contractions and they were able to go to the hospital and, go through the whole process, or they were prepared. They had an induction date, all of the things. However, my story, nowhere near that. Long story short, when I was 25 and a half weeks, I did not feel my daughter moving. And typically she would be very, very active. But this particular day, she wasn't moving as much. So my mom said, drink some Kool-Aid because it's sweet and, it may give her some energy to move. Now, I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker, but I said, you know what? I'm going to try it. So I drank some juice and she made a kick like 3 times. I said, and it was getting in the evening time. I said, I'm not going to the hospital right now because I'm tired. I just want to get in the bed. They're going to keep me there all day and all night. I'm going to bed. And if she's still not doing this, I'm going in the morning. Woke up. She's still not really moving. So I called my OB/GYN and I said, hey, my daughter's not moving in my stomach like how she usually does. And so my team said, come in. We're going to check. Up until this point, I had healthy everything. Numbers looked good. Blood work looked good. Everything was on track to having a quote unquote normal pregnancy. So I get to my doctors. They do an ultrasound. They do an examination. And they're like, your amniotic fluid is just a little bit low. So let's go to the hospital just so that they can check and we'll go from there. So I said, cool. So where my doctor's office was literally right across the street from the hospital. So I go over to the hospital. They triage me. They do the exam. They're like, yeah, Miss Rowe, your fluids are kind of low. So we're going to admit you for observation and we'll look in the morning. So I was like, okay. And at this point, everybody is just so friendly. Everybody's just so calm. So I'm thinking this is just a routine situation. So they admit me. And the next morning when I woke up, they put me in the little monitor to, check the baby's heart rate, all of that good stuff. So the next morning when I get up, one of my doctors from my team comes in with his partner and his head down. And I'm like, what is going on? He's like, man, Miss Rowe, we would have never imagined, you're here like this. Everything was fine. He said, so, right now we're going to have to transfer you to a high-risk doctor. And, she's going to monitor you from there. So I said, okay. So then they came in, they did another exam. They were like, yeah, your amniotic fluid is still low. And I was like, okay. Like they're so calm. So my mom says, you know what? I called Father Brian, who was her priest, and he's like, he's going to come over and pray for you. And at this time, I'm looking crazy because my hair appointment was scheduled for the next week. Okay, because I was supposed to get my baby shower, my pregnancy photo shoot, all of that was scheduled for the following week. So I look a mess. So I got up, I went to the bathroom, and I was like, Lord, let me comb my hair, do something, because this man gonna come in here and I'm looking crazy. Well, while I'm in the bathroom, this new high-risk doctor comes in. And by this time, my mom, she's just sitting there, and the lady comes in, and I hear her voice, and she's like, what is she doing in there? You've been in there too long. You need to come lay down. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, at this point, up until now, everything has been so calm. Everything was so chill. Like, this was a regular routine situation. And when I got in that bed, she looked at my mom and she looked at me and she explained the severity of the situation. The amount of amniotic fluid that I had was half of what I was supposed to have. My baby's heart rate wasn't where it needed to be. So she was like, so we are going to keep you until you have this baby. Now, in my mind, I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to be here for a few months. So what am I going to do? And at that time, I was in school for naturopathic medicine. I had finals coming up. So I'm in the bed with the oxygen mask, studying, because I think this is going to be for the long haul. So she said, we're going to give you 2 shots, one tonight and one in the morning. And it's going to help grow your baby's lungs just in case something happens. So I'm like, this is the precaution. They always give you the just in case. This is the worst case scenario. So I'm like, cool. I'm fine with it. I went to sleep and they kept waking me up to move. Turn this way, turn that way. Put the oxygen mask back on. And I was like, Lord Jesus, just let my baby be okay. Because y'all is worrisome. So the next morning, they do the ultrasound. And the lady doesn't even look at me. She looks at the screen and runs out the room. And I'm like, okay. So at this point, I'm getting nervous. The next thing you know, it was like she did a hooty-hoo on the hospital because everybody and their mama came running in there. So I had all these nurses around me. The doctor ran in. She looked at my screen. She said, we got to get this baby and we got to get it out now. The next thing I heard, catheter in. Now, I'm so shocked because I'm looking at this lady telling me that I have to get my baby out today at 26 weeks. And they done put a catheter in. I didn't even know my legs were open for them to put. Anyway, so they rushed me into the ER. I have no clue, none of that. All I know is I woke up in recovery. And I was like, where's my baby? Nobody wanted to answer. Nobody wanted to answer. Where's my baby? Again, everybody just sweeping it under the rug. So then I get a call from the neonatologist, Dr. Bridget Cobb. Let me tell you, to this day, I still send her pictures of Layla. She is amazing. She said, Miss Rowe, when your daughter was born, we had to resuscitate her. We need to get your permission because she needs blood immediately. She said, I will call you back, but I need your permission to do a blood transfusion. I was like, anything you have to do. Now, I've never seen a little preemie, micro preemie. I've never seen that in real life. So I'm still thinking this is like the typical birth that I see on TV. My baby's nice and, plumpy, and, she's in there crying and giving them hell. That's what I'm thinking. And then she calls me back and she says, Miss Rowe, your daughter is on life support. We had to go ahead and start a blood transfusion. She said, your daughter has a grade 4 brain bleed. Typically, with this comes possible cerebral palsy, possible seizures. She's giving me all the possibilities. She said, however, do you believe in God? I said, absolutely. She said, I would just do what you're doing, pray and have faith that God is going to take care of this situation, because I pray that none of those things are going to come to fruition. However, we need you to do your job and pray. Now, at this point, if you don't believe in God, I feel like everybody should believe in God. But if you don't, hey, I'm not here to judge you. That's between you and whoever, whatever you believe in. I'm just here to tell you my side of the story. And I believe in God. So, again, I'm like, okay, well, my baby's in the NICU. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go see my baby, because, again, I still couldn't wrap my mind around what I was about to see. The situation with her life was so touch and go that I could not see my baby until the next day. Now, again, I done watched on the TV and on the movies about all these women who wake up and their babies are next to them and they get to hold them and take these beautiful pictures. So this is not what y'all prepared me for. So I had to go down to the NICU. I had to do this like double, triple cleansing with the scrubber. It's like individually wrapped, and it has the antibiotic soap. And then, antibacterial soap. And it comes with like these little combs, and you have to go like this to make sure you get everything from under your nails and all over your skin, all the way up to your elbows, to make sure nothing is in there. I was like, okay. And I got over to her little bay, and they whipped that curtain open. And to me, I was like, whose baby is this? That's sad, but where's my baby? And it still didn't hit me that this little tiny thing was my baby. Layla was 1 pound, 6 ounces, 12 inches. I had never seen or heard anything like this before. And when I tell you, my heart just dropped. A lot of mothers, when they have their children, they have like instantly this motherly connection happens with their child. I don't know if it happened because they had them and they were able to hold them. I don't know if that happened because I don't know how it happened. However, that was not my case. I was completely disconnected. I see this baby. I know this baby is mine. I know I have to care for this baby. But it wasn't like this was my baby. This was not my child. So anyway, so they had to, we had to wait a few days. I want to say maybe it was about a week before I could actually hold her. And you had to do the skin to skin kangaroo time to help the babies feel your touch, feel your warmth, have another connection. And that's when I started feeling like, okay, this is my child that I birthed. Feeling her heartbeat against mine, be it weak as it was, it still felt, you know, it was needed. My first Mother's Day was shortly after, a few weeks after. And usually, you know, especially after I got discharged, I would literally go to the hospital when my mom woke up to go to work. I would sit there by her side, by her incubator all day until my mom got off of work and came to pick me up. Because I wasn't able to drive still because, you know, the C-section. And again, I was studying. I had finals. So I was sitting by her incubator, looking at her, pumping so that they can put the little feeding tube and they could drop a few drops of my breast milk into her mouth so she can at least taste it. And study, do what I have to do, go home, rinse, repeat. She had 2 brain surgeries prior to her coming home. Layla came home, I want to say the week after she was supposed to be born. So she was in the hospital about 3.5, 4 months. And it was the scariest time of my life. A lot of people, when they see me with Layla, they ask me, well, did your doctor tell you? Did you know anything was going to be wrong? No. Some people have the luxury of their doctors doing, you know, examinations and saying, well, you know, this is what we see. There's a possibility that your child has spina bifida, whatever, what have you. So we, at this point, need to make a decision. Are you going to keep it or are you going to terminate it? Like, people have the luxury of having those types of conversations. I was completely blindsided. So then immediately, it's this sense of guilt. Lord, what is it that I did that you're punishing me to have to watch my child go through this? I felt guilty for a long time. I felt like it was my fault that my baby had to experience this because it's something that I did. And it was for years that I felt like I caused this. And this innocent baby was caught in the crossfire because of something that I did. And again, I felt like that for years. I had the worst postpartum ever. Even when she came home, it was just... And I tried to talk to a therapist. I tried to talk to a priest. It just felt like nobody understood. I had to go to all these doctor's appointments. And then we had to go to the developmental doctor. And those were the hardest appointments. They were so long. And they would do all of these tests. And they literally... It's like while I'm trying to be excited for the fact that she's finally putting her head up. Or, you know, she's finally able to, you know, have a little bit of trunk control. Or she's... The things that other people just sweep under the rug. Like, I am grasping for those milestones. She wasn't talking. She couldn't stand. She could barely keep her head up. Her neck was... She had... her eyes were just, you know, jumping. Her legs and feet would just start shaking out of nowhere. I was grasping for any milestone that she could reach. However, when I got to these appointments, and I know they're just doing their job, but they literally list everything that your baby is not doing. It's like, so I'm so excited, but then you knock me down. And so then again, I have to keep replaying, Lord, what did I do? It was just so hard. And they said, well, you know, when she was about one and a half, they were like, well, you know, I know she has cerebral palsy because they diagnosed her with CP around maybe 1. But when she was about to be 2, we went and the doctor was like, oh, well, she hasn't had any seizures, you know. And typically, if they don't have seizures by the age of 2, they won't have any. So it's like, well, at least that's a win. You know, yeah, she has some other challenges, but at least she's not seizing. So we're trying to navigate how to take care of this baby with all of these challenges. And my mom took Layla down to Florida to go to the beach for her first beach experience. And I was at work. I used to braid hair. And I was at work. And I'm just braiding, knocking, my clients out, just focusing. And I get a call. My mom asks me, what's Layla's social or something like that? I was like, what? That's a weird question. She's like, all right, I'm gonna call you back. So then she called and asked me something else. She was like, all right, I'm gonna call you back. I was like, what is going on? So then the last time she called me, I said, stop. What's going on? She was like, well, we are at the hospital. They're about to put Layla in an ambulance and take her to the children's hospital because she's seizing. And in my mind, I'm like, it's another blow. Because the doctors just said if she hadn't had a seizure before the age of 2, she was in the clear. Here we are, her seizing. So I caught the next flight out. And the whole time I was on the plane, like, it just keeps coming, God. It just keeps coming. So then we tried the medicines. Now, seizure meds, it's a thing. You have to try this one, wait a little bit, see if it works. Start seizing, scratch it. Either go up a dose, we keep going up a dose, it's not working, okay, we'll go to the next one. And it was painful for me to watch my baby continuing to have seizures, and I could not do anything about it. And again, I'm still trying to learn how to be a mom, let alone be a mom of a special needs baby. I have no clue what I'm doing. And, you know, to other people, this may have been normal. This is their typical life. But to me, I was figuring it out. My mother, my grandmother, we were all trying to figure it out. It was a lot. Layla is now 13. She was 13 a few weeks ago. She's still, considered a quadriplegic. She still has seizures. She has developmental delay. She has cerebral palsy. She has hydrocephalus. And this is our normal. I felt so guilty, and I was blaming myself until I had my second daughter. Because of my experience with my birth with Layla, I automatically had to go to a high-risk doctor. Now, mind you, I had been asking my doctors, like, what happened? What happened? What did I do? Did I get preeclampsia? Did I get, what did I get? Did I get, diabetes? Like, what did I do to cause this to my kid? Maybe I wasn't eating right. Did I eat the wrong thing? What did I do? And they're like, oh, things like this just happen. It was so casual for them, but it was killing me because I needed to know what I did so I could atone for that. Never told me. So I go in to my first appointment when I was pregnant with my second daughter, Dallas. And, the doctor, she's being very calm and very compassionate. And then I just burst out crying. And I'm like, I don't know what I did with Layla, but I don't want that to happen again with Dallas. And I need to know what I did and what happened. And nobody can give me answers. So then she looks at me like kind of perplexed. And she pulls out my chart and she said, you had a blood clot in your placenta. That's what caused it. The blood clot caused her to stop growing. The amniotic fluid went low. That's what happened. It just happens. You didn't do anything wrong. It was just a blood clot. The weight of the world was lifted off of me at that one moment. But then anger immediately set in. Because I had been blaming myself and making myself suffer all these years. And asking for answers all these years. And this lady just met me 5 minutes ago, and she already knows what happened. Y'all, when I tell you she was ready, I was ready. But anyway, why am I telling you guys all of this? After I had Layla, it was a journey. And after I had her, I figured out things to make life more user-friendly for me. Some things that I saw people do with typical babies didn't work for me. So I had to navigate and, kind of circumvent things to make it work for me so that I can make sure that we have as close to a normal life that we can. And as I started doing that, people would always ask me, well, how did you do this? Or, my daughter just had a baby and the baby was premature. Can you give her some information? Or, my daughter is dealing with this and her doctor is just not listening. But I see Layla thriving. What can I do? And so my aunt said, you know, KJ, you need to make a blog. Talk about your experiences. Talk about the tips and tricks that you had to learn along the way. Because there are other people out there that are in your situation that need the resources and the knowledge that you have. And I prayed on it because I make funny videos, TikTok videos with my dog, like talking. I mean, I like to talk, but you know, this is personal. But I said, you know what? God gave me this testimony. And if you know a testimony is not for you, then you understand. My testimony, my trials and my tribulations are so that other people can look and either get faith, learn how to do or not do what they see, to learn that God is able. God uses people to touch his other children. And I feel as though this testimony, while I did need to learn some things, and I am grateful for this experience because I would not be the woman that I am today without those experiences, but I feel like this is something that should be shared. And if I can help anybody else, that's what I want to do. So, I guess this will be my first video out of many. Send me some questions, some topics that you would like to cover. Anything that you want to know so that I can make life easier for you. Because if you are a mom or a dad of a baby with superpowers, I know it can be challenging. I know you can place the guilt on you. Some people experience shame and they don't want to take their baby out in public because they don't want people staring. They don't want to hear the whispers. Their baby may be sensitive to environments and noises, and their baby, screams whenever they're in an uncomfortable situation. And some people don't go outside because I'm tired of everybody looking at me crazy because my kid can't stop screaming, and they think I'm just being a bad parent, and I'm not. It's just my child is having this situation and he needs or she needs a moment, and they don't understand. They just think I don't have a handle on my child. And we go through this constant battle in our minds on how to navigate and circumvent this world, and I want to be here to help. I have gone through a lot with Miss Layla. I've learned a lot with Miss Layla. Resources, ways to rig the stroller. If you have multiple kids, I've learned it all. So, thank you for watching. Again, send me your videos. I mean, not your videos, but you can send me videos of questions, all of that. I would love to see your beautiful face. But yes, I am here for the long haul. And I look forward to helping you, growing with you, and doing this thing called life together, honey. I love you.